Here are 10 books that I must read in my lifetime in no particular order. And I'm going to include entire series as one book. So one spot on the top 10 list. Not even top 10. This is just the first 10 that came to mind. First off, we have, and it feels like a sin running a booktube channel that talks a lot about fantasy and not having read this. It is the Wheel of Time. Look at these right here. How have I not read this? I don't know, to be honest with you. I want to get them all in these kind of like oldish paperbacks. I'm just gonna keep collecting, and maybe I'll start once I have more of these, I guess. I tried watching the first episode or two a long time ago of season 1 of the Amazon Prime series, and I was just not impressed. I just got really bored. I thought it was easy as balls, you know. It just felt very like basic, very tropey, chosen one type shit. And I think that's more to do with the story, the series being old. You know, when it came out, the chosen one thing was very popular. Maybe, I don't know, maybe somebody can confirm that for me, but it didn't really seem like my type of vibe. Maybe it did. Yes, it did. It just, I don't know. You know what I mean? This is unscripted, by the way. I don't know if you could tell, but it is a huge commitment. 14 book series, I think. I said that this was an OG, but it's got all 14 books on the back, I think. I don't know why I said I think. And the last, like, what, 4 or something were written by Brandon Sanderson. So I guess this is like relatively recent, this paperback. Doesn't say. But luckily, my local Half Price Books always has a butt ton of these in these paperbacks. So I don't think it'll necessarily be super hard to get them. I think it might be a little bit hard to get the Brandon Sanderson ones in this style of paperback. If they were even released in this style of paperback, they have to have been. They have to have been. I'm positive they were. 80%. I'm thinking that next year will be the year that I read this. I've heard that the magic system is really cool and really interesting. The world building is really amazing. And I mean, I'd hope so because it's 14 books. And then the characters are just goated. I always see people saying God tier characters, and it's like Randall Thor and Darrow Lycos. I'm like, are they similar? I see people talking about Randall Thor, and he's giving me like, what is he reminding me of? Izuku Midoriya. There's no way that that's like actually true, but I can't help but think like that. I'm sorry. The next book that I must read in my lifetime is The Iliad, The Odyssey, The Iliad and The Odyssey. I only have The Odyssey. Seeing the Emily Wilson translation come out has really given me the motivation to, I guess, seek these out. I got this one at Half Price Books, so, you know, freaking half the price. Insane W. I think they're just so aesthetic. Look, they got are these called flayed edges? I don't really know, but I want to take on the challenge of The Odyssey, one of the greatest epics ever told, one of the original epics, probably, maybe, I don't know. As a big One Piece fan, I always say that Homer walked so Ichiro Oda could run. The Odyssey walked so One Piece could run. And, you know, just to be sure, I need to read The Odyssey. Emily Wilson's translation came out recently, and her Iliad translation came out recently, and I plan on those being the translations that I read. As far as I'm aware, she's the first woman to translate The Odyssey and the Iliad. I assume that there's going to be a more, I guess, feminist perspective being brought to this. Maybe not. I don't know. Being the first woman to translate this definitely intrigued me and motivated me a little bit more to pick it up. You know what's interesting is that no matter where I look, I don't see a description of what The Odyssey is even about. The Odyssey is a poem about violence and the aftermath of war, about wealth, poverty, and power, about marriage and family, about travel and hospitality, and the yearning for home. And it's written in iambic pentameter. These like how the lines don't take up the whole page like intimidates me. It's giving me PTSD from English class, right, where the lines are freaking numbered. Like, can you read from line blah 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 blah? Oh no. But I'm pretty sure iambic pentameter is just the syllable. I could Google this right now to not look like a fool, but I'm not. It has nothing to do with rhyming, I'm pretty sure. No rhyming. It doesn't look like it. It's got to be like a syllable thing. Early. I just found this in here. What the frick is this? Okay, this looks to be, I'm not gonna say the name that's on here, but it looks to be from Austin Community College, and it looks like some sort of slip, some permission to release transcripts, and I assume to transfer to another school. This man was using this as a bookmark to read Emily Wilson's translation of The Odyssey. And I'm pretty sure this book only came out in the last like year or two, and this was issued in 2022. So he's been using this as a bookmark for a while, I assume, or it was the closest thing nearby. I'll keep it. I won't say your name. But I really want to. Your first name. Next, we have Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin. This is the first 4 books. I've seen the first 4 books, and they seem pretty thick, and this seems pretty thin. There was like 700 pages total from this, but I'm opening it up, and the text looks really, really small and bold. Bold text in a novel is an interesting choice. I don't really know much about Earthsea. I know it's obviously fantasy. Are the first 4 books connected? Do they follow the same thing, or are they different stories? Does anybody know? I know Ursula Le Guin is a freaking legend, and how could I not want to read a legend? I think it's also really interesting to read the founding mothers of fantasy. I don't know if she's a founding mother, but you know, the Robin Hobb, the Ursula Le Guin. Yeah, this came out in what? The Wizard of Earthsea, published in 1971. Holy shit. 1974, 1974, and 1992. I think we've all been exposed to some form of fantasy written by white dudes in the freaking 20th century, whereas women fantasy authors are not that. And I like to see the contrast in the difference in writing and what they value and what they think is more important. The only woman I think I've read is Robin Hobb, and she's kind of like on that border between 20 and 21st, and this is like very 20th century, so I am down to experience much older fantasy written by women. Next we have Malazan. I have Gardens of the Moon, which is book 1, and then Memories of Ice, which is book 3. Yeah, I don't have books 2, and then obviously the rest of them. I have some mutuals on Book Talk who are going through Malazan right now, and it does seem epic. I mean, literally insane. This is more modern, I think, but it's huge. You know, it's a huge world, a bajillion books. The world building is like on a crazy, absolutely insane scale. And that's what I really like. The only thing that has me worrying is that different books in the same series follow completely different casts of characters. And I know they all connect in the later books, but it's just so jarring reading book 1 and then book 2. It's completely different. You know what I mean? Obviously in the same world, but I don't know, dude. But I objectively know that subjectively, this is going to be one of my favorite series of all time once I finish it. I just know it. I can just tell. It seems like everything that I like, it's just very large and intimidating. It's like trying to watch One Piece in the year of our Lord 2025. It's a monumental task. Next, we have The Handmaid's Tale by, I want to say, Margaret Atwood. Handmaid's Tale. It's got 6 seasons. What the frick? Margaret Atwood, yeah. I need to look up if the seasons take place after the book. Oh, there's a sequel novel. But does the TV show continue after the sequel novel? Whoa. That's making me so down to read that. Wait, that sounds so dope. I know it's what, dystopian? There's like the government's totalitarian or something, super like misogynistic. I saw some conservatives getting upset and calling The Handmaid's Tale trash on Twitter, and that like made me want to read it so bad. And just like the screenshots I saw from the show while Googling it right now, those look absolutely epic. Tell me the frick in. This seems like legendary social commentary, and I'm just totally down. Next, we have Lord of the Rings. I've only seen the movies, and I only saw the movies like 2 years ago for the first time, so I've never seen them till now. I'm really hesitant because I hate watching the adaptation first and then reading the book. I would much rather read the book first and then the adaptation. And so since I did that, since I freaked up, it was my dad. My dad really wanted me to see it. How can I say, how can you say no to your dad? You know what I mean? Since I watched the adaptation first, now I'm just so hesitant. And it's like legendary. I feel like there's no way I can live my whole life and say that I'm a fantasy reader and not ever touch Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? It has to be done. It has to be done, and I will read them before I die. And I'm actually very curious to see how the books differ from the movies. I just might wait a little bit until I forget enough about the plot of the movies so I can get into the books and be like, oh yeah, that's what happens. You know what I mean? Because I really don't like reading something for the first time and already knowing what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Or watching something. I'm like being spoiled. That's what it feels like. That's genuinely what it feels like, is that the movies spoiled the books for me, and I care about the books way more than I do about the movies. I don't care if the books spoil the adaptations for me. I don't give 2 shits about that. But the other way around, that is a problem. Next, we have Treasure Island by Robert, what's his name? Stevenson, I think. Actually, I'm not even 100% sure I know what it's about. It seems like an adventure novel, right? With treasure. Am I crazy? I know almost nothing about it, except for there's an island and there's treasure on it, and I assume there are people are looking for it. I've just heard the name so much, and it's just so, I think, legendary in the reading world that I just have to read it sometime in my life. And there are a lot of other classics that I feel like I'm gonna read in my life. Pride and Prejudice, you know, Robinson Crusoe. Those are the other ones that are coming to mind right now, but they should not be. But it will be read. I don't know much about it, but it's just so legendary. And Treasure Island sounds like such a cool name. And recently, I've been more into reading some older things, so I mean, we'll see how that goes. Next, we have A Song of Ice and Fire. I've just been so hesitant to start because I do have faith that George R.R. Martin will finish Winds of Winter and it will come out. But bro's getting really old, and he still has, what, 1 more book after this, after Winds of Winter? Is that ever coming out, dude? I don't know. Like, the thought of reading a book series that will never ever be finished is just so, it just makes me so upset and so mad. You know what I mean? Like, obviously the author doesn't owe their audience anything, but I don't owe the author to read their series. But Game of Thrones is different. I don't know. I'm never reading Name of the Wind, and yeah, that's not true. Fuck. That's my biggest hesitation. I'm just really waiting to see when it'll come out. You know, I want there to be some sort of evidence that it's coming out, that the series will be completed. I don't even need to see it be completed before I start reading it. I just need to believe that it will be completed. Like the Liza Locke of Lamora. I'm confident that Scott Lynch will finish that series. It might be a while, but it will happen. So I have no problem reading it. It's one of those things where I don't know shit. I've watched like a season of the show. It was like season 6 or season 7 with my friend, and he caught me up on everything, but I don't remember shit about about it. I don't know, dog. It just seems so fun to read an entire series and watch the entire show. And it's like you're experiencing it again for the first time. Next, we have The Hunger Games. Can you believe I've never read this? This is an old ass book. My dad got it for me like a year after it came out, or like right when the trend was starting. I can't really remember. So this is an old ass paperback copy of The Hunger Games. You know, my friend owns all of them and owns the new ones that just came out, the prequels. I tried reading it, but I was like 11, to be clear, younger probably. And I was like, oh, this book's about a girl? I don't want to read a book about a girl. So I didn't. You know, nowadays I read a bunch of books with women as main characters, so it's not something I'm against anymore as now that I'm an adult, but it's just so legendary. I've seen the movies. I don't remember shit about the movies except for maybe the first one. I know the general plot line of movie 1, but I don't remember a single thing about movies 2 and 3. I did see the Ballad of Songbirds movie, and I thought it was fantastic. I really liked it. I really liked the social commentary, the commentary of all kind. I saw it with friends and they were like, this movie's so dumb, and I tried to point out what the commentary of the movie was, and they're like, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's true. I have some bad experiences with Hunger Games, especially with that, because they were like calling me delusional for liking the movie. Just say you have no media literacy. Just say it. Just tell me that. You can say it. It's fine. Next, we have The Dark Tower by Stephen King. I'm not really a horror reader, but I know this is a fantasy-ish, and Stephen King doesn't write fantasy all that much. And I do want to read Stephen King's other things or whatever, right? But as a primarily fantasy man, I know The Dark Tower is legendary, and I've actually not seen the movie with Idris Elba. This looks really old. But shit, I think this is actually the first time I've ever opened this up. Damn, that's some old book smell. Holy shit. When did this come out? A copy from 1982. There's literally no way. No, this is 1989. This is a 30-plus-year-old book. But I want to get through this series, and then I want to watch the movies. I think there's only one movie. I don't think this is going to be my introduction to Stephen King, but this is probably what I'm more focused on by him. I actually don't think I've ever read a horror book. If you've made it this far and you're interested, let me know what your favorite horror book of Stephen King is, and I'm down to check it out. And then finally, because I'm a fan of epic fantasy, our final book is going to be the Epic of Gilgamesh. I know it's unbelievably old, one of our first written epics of all time, I think. How old is the Epic of Gilgamesh? 4,000 years old. The oldest versions are in Sumerian. Most complete version are in Akkadian and Babylonian languages. It was written on tablets. It's one of the oldest stories out there, and that intrigues me, dude. That makes me want to read it. I don't know if it's like fantasy, probably not, but I know there's probably fantastical elements, maybe. And you know, as an epic man, how could I not read one of the oldest epics of all time, one of the oldest stories of all time? How could I not? And that is my biggest driving thing. I don't know what it's about. The Mesopotamian epic poem, considered the oldest surviving piece of literature, damn, about the king of Uruk, Gilgamesh, and his quest for immortality after the death of his friend Enkidu. I don't know, but that's my goals. I want to read one of the oldest pieces of literature of all time. I feel like the writing style was just so different back then, and then my peewee brain might not be able to handle it, but you know, we're gonna try. I gotta have faith in myself, and I will do it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Definitely check out my wishlist sponsor and all my social links in the description. And yeah, I'll see you next time.